Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we'll have a talk about Linux projects, such as a distribution, a desktop environment, or application. We also chat about the news, such as tonight, or any variety of topics. That's really radio pukey I'm getting. I apologize for that. Anything that is Linux tech and open source is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And with me today, I got just a splendiferous group of folks on this panel. I got Dr. Linux, Terry, Jason Starbuck, Jinda, Ben, and Colin of PTLC. There's a PCTLC. Whoops, I don't know how I messed that up already. How is everybody?
Excellent.
Yeah, good.
Doing good.
Feeling good.
Excellent. I'm so glad you're here. Sorry about the delay. I had a little nephew just turned 15 today, and I can't believe he's 15. Actually, it gave me a headache. But my sister made this fantastic ice cream cake, and so it was worth it. That's actually why I delayed it 30 minutes, because I wanted the cake, and so I apologize. And my kids also, put pressure on me to stay a little longer. So, yeah, that's why. That's the explanation.
Cake is
The
worth it.
explanation was cake. Just cake.
Cake.
That was the only
But it's
reason.
ice cream cake. It was like a gluten-free Oreo cake, and you would have known it was gluten-free ice cream cake, but it was actually really quite good. Apparently, everything was purchased at Aldi. So be sure to do
I've
this.
never been to one of those.
Really, I love Aldi. That's my favorite place to shop for food, because you can actually get food that doesn't have artificial, synthetically derived colors, whatever, something like that. So be sure to do the straw poll. It is how you feel about your how well informed you feel about news in the Linux and FOSS community. So check out that straw poll. I'm sure somebody will kick it up there, like Jinda. Not saying you have to, Jinda, but you're good at this sort of thing, and I'm already distracted by stuff. So.
Well, I'm reading the cake discussion in the chat right now.
Oh, is it talking about cake? Ooh, I love double chocolate cakes, Ben. Yeah, Ben. You could have actually just said that, Ben. You didn't have to write that.
Whatever. I also like peanut butter and chocolate cake.
One of my favorite cakes is a Coca-Cola cake.
Oh God! What? Here we go.
My sister makes it, and it comes with the dark chocolate frosting,
man.
and it's just made with Coke in there. They put a can of Coke in
Yeah.
in the mix mix. It's nice and fluffy.
Oh God! Here we go.
Well, that sounds
Yep.
delightful.
Oh, it's amazing.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
I wish I knew how to make it, but it's amazing.
And Anarita says she doesn't care for it not as much as before, but maybe she's getting older. Who knows?
Aren't we all getting older? My wife
And-
made chocolate
yeah.
sheet cake. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And Leo says that ice cream
spices.
cake is greater than cake. I could be, yeah. And yeah, Anna says cake is my love language too. I did not know that was a love language, but I'm good at that. We can just go ahead and just agree that is a love language.
Oh! I gotta block out a cat. He's taking a bath.
This happens.
By the way, Nate,
Yes, sir.
I actually have a bit of news for you tonight. I am getting a new laptop potentially Monday.
Oh, really?
Yes, I wanted to touch on that as one of the segments tonight.
Okay. Well, hang on. Let me just do my little segue, and I'll go right into your new toy, Ben. So we'll do that.
I didn't get it yet, but I want to touch on the news about it.
Yeah. So hang on, hang tight. All right. So on the docket for today, we're going to do our news flight night, do a little housekeeping, and last call. But first, what have we been doing in Linux and tech? Also, there's a straw poll in there. Ben, you just informed me that you're getting a new piece of hardware, and that's always
Yes,
exciting
sir.
for everybody. I mean, at least I always think, even if I'm not getting a new piece of hardware, I'm excited when somebody else gets a new piece of hardware. So Ben, tell me about this new piece of hardware.
Well, it's an Asus Tough laptop. I don't know how familiar with people are with those series, but
Not even slightly.
well, it's Asus's. I don't know how many gaming lines of laptops they have, but it's one that I'm sure is fairly popular. And a friend of mine and I were talking about me originally getting a Lenovo Legion that's all AMD, but sadly, that was $950, and my dad did not want to spend that for an all AMD machine. So we looked at other options, and one of my buddies who plays Star Wars Galaxies with me suggested that I get this 11th gen Intel laptop that has an NVIDIA 3050 in it, and we decided that, given it's 750, we're going to sell my M1 MacBook and swap it for this. So, as good as the M1s seem to be, that's sort of I've decided I'm not really using the M1, and so he gave it away at the office, and hence we got the money to get this new Asus Tough machine. So yeah, and get up on Amazon. Let's see. So it's got a 15.6 144 hertz FHD IPS display, Intel Core i5 11400H processor, RTX 3050 Ti, 16 gigs of RAM, Wi-Fi 6, 512 gig SSD, and a Windows 11 Home pre-installed on it, and it comes in black and yellow.
Bumblebee.
Yes,
Those are two of my favorite colors.
Yes, and it's looking like a very nice machine. And if we order it on on whatchamacallit, on Monday, the earliest I can have it is Sunday, February 4th, but if free delivery gets it to me on Tuesday of February 6th. So, it looks like a nice machine, and I'll drop the link in the Zoom chat and YouTube if you guys don't mind.
Don't mind at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I'm always
Snap,
I'm always
the link is
interested in
too
looking at
big to
nerds.
paste into YouTube. Just a minute.
And you can just like
I'll just drop it in here and then go from there. Yeah. There it is. So yeah, it's not a bad little machine, and I haven't decided which flavor of Linux I'm going to throw on it yet. It might be Stormless, who knows, but yeah, it looks, and I will be keeping the Windows on there because I don't want to, uh, I'm not exactly familiar with the hardware 100% yet, so we'll be keeping the Windows license on there just for yucks. So yeah,
So this is
good.
this is just a thought.
Mhm.
But what you could do is buy yourself another SSD for it, whatever it's in there, just get another just like it or similar, and don't write over your Windows.
boot.
swap them out.
Yep, you can swap them out, or just keep it for like. You get this idea of like, what, I'm going to sell this thing because I want something, different or whatever, and then you can just put that back in there, and it's like it never even happened.
Yeah.
Now, is it a regular SSD or is it?
I do have the original SSD that came in the laptop I'm on right now, and I could throw that in as a secondary boot drive. You're right, now that I think about it. Because I think that's still outside on my dad's workbench, and we could open it up and take the bottom off and put the old SSD that was in this machine into there. That is a valid thought, yeah.
Okay, so it's a regular SSD, not an M.2.
No, it's an NVMe inside of that one. And what I was thinking of doing was taking putting a second NVMe in there as well, just to see what happens.
All right,
so that's an M.2.
Yeah, it's an M.2 drive.
It is, yeah.
Yep.
Just
didn't say that in the description initially. I had to actually scroll down to about this item.
Yeah.
But I know that most laptops these days come with 2 drives in them. I don't know if this is one of those or not, but if it's
I'm
not,
looking at
then
that right now.
yeah, I tried looking it up to see if there was like a secondary like data drive in there, because that's what this laptop came with, but I don't know if this one I'm looking at does too or not. Because I punched the model number into Google and I couldn't find anything about this particular model. But because 512 gigs these days for SSD storage is not much, especially for dual boot scenarios. And plus, I don't mind carrying around a drive, but that would be kind of an inconvenience for portability's sake, if you ask me.
F15.
Because, 512, that's a little tiny, if you ask me.
Let's
At least in
see,
the gaming
text
sense.
It looks like a fun machine, and congratulations on getting it soon.
On the upgrade.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's going to serve you
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And but yeah, either way we can move on now.
And in a pinch, you can do some like since it's got a 3050 Ti, probably can
3050 Ti
Yeah.
graphics card.
Right,
Yeah,
so you
which
can probably
isn't
do
bad
some-
for games.
you can do some crypto mining in that because that was really cool. a few years
That
ago.
would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crypto mining.
Yeah, if the gaming thing doesn't work out, that's always a fun fallback. Yeah.
All right, I'll put the link.
Only
to,
seems to have one. Sorry.
I put the short link into the chat if people want to check out what it is you're looking at. So cool
Yeah.
beans. Yeah, it's probably upgradable, and you can probably have tons of fun with that thing. So when you get
It
it,
only
make
seems to have one hard drive.
Yeah, that's okay, Colin. But
when you
Yeah,
get
I
it,
can just
make sure you
carry
share
it around like
your excitement about it. There's
yeah,
no-
I'll do that whenever I get it. No worries.
Yeah, that'd be great. Good
All right.
deal. And I guess we'll just go ahead and skip what I was going to say, and we'll go right onto the straw poll. So Ayers isn't here today. He was, I think, he's out like hunting Pokemon again, I think. So hopefully he catches that Charizard finally. But he put together a fantastic straw poll for us on the about how informed do you feel about what is happening in FOSS or free open source and in the Linux world, open source software. Sorry, free open source software is FOSS and Linux world. So I'm going to go. If you have not done that straw poll, you can do it. Knock it out real quick here, and I will hit the little refresh button and see how that goes. All right, show vote. I didn't vote yet. Let me check the results. All right. So how well do you feel informed about what is happening in the FOSS Linux world? I feel at 42% sufficiently informed on main topics. At 15.4% was well informed. 15.4% was poorly informed. 11.5% said very well informed, and then there was an other. I didn't check to see if what the comments are. Almost 4% said I do not care about what is happening in the FOSS and Linux world. I don't know who you are, but you're my new best friend because that makes me laugh. And then one vote for Tux Penguin because Tux Penguin knows all, right? So I'm going to check to see what the comments are. And it's I guess there weren't any comments. Oh, man. But one reply says, I feel semi-well informed. I subscribe to 3 or 4 Linux podcasts / YouTube channels. So there we go. So does anybody here, where do you get most of your Linux news? Do you read it? Do you listen to podcasts? What would you say is your primary way?
Well, I have bookmarks for Linux news, and I also have certain channels that I watch. But I think you're not going to be well informed if you don't go chasing it.
Sure.
Would that be a fair statement?
I think that's a very
100%
fair statement.
perfect, Alan.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, like me personally, I listen to Destination Linux. I also like Linux user space. So like Linux, like I would say, Destination Linux primary for kind of more overviews on different topics and has some discussions on that. So I think those discussions help me remember more about the topic, I guess, than just reading a narrative on it or listening to a narrative. But then I really like Linux user space for how they dig really deep into various aspects of Linux. And I think to me, that's really enjoyable. So like the latest Linux user space to dig into KDE, the history of KDE and what makes it the coolest desktop ever. That's my narrative edition. But anyway, yeah, I think there's a lot of really great sources out there. Jupiter Broadcasting has a nice selection of different podcasts as well. I know they're a competing network, but I don't care. I listen to everybody. Also, This Week in Linux is also really good for topics, like also a little more overview of information as well. but I would say I probably read most of my Linux news. Like I'll listen to like the topic like on a podcast, and then I will go seek out those articles or follow up information either from show note links or something. I'll just do searches on it and whatnot. So what about you, Colin? You seem like you're one that's well informed pretty much all the time. At least that's my impression. So
well,
don't shatter that view if you can, please.
well, it's depends how you define well informed, because it depends on whether you're well informed about how you do things on Linux or just Linux news in general, which I would say this is what this is. But I just look at the general news on what's updated, and but the videos tell me mostly. Who was it? Michael Tunnell. He's really good to watch. And what's his name? Nick from what's Nick's name?
The Linux Experiment.
It's a French guy. Linux Experiment. There, that's the one. Yeah, he's normally pretty good. I think he cops a little bit of unnecessary derogatory comments at times, but I think he's just made himself completely sarcastic just to overlook all that stuff. But his sarcasm is quite funny in his videos, I must say. But yeah, just general Linux stuff. I just like to know what's new, and there's all these new apps coming out, and all that sort of stuff. And then you might go try them out and see what they're like, and it's not as good as what you hoped.
So I got another other comment. I just told to check the Discord, which I'm very bad about checking. But it says, I feel like I'm sufficiently well informed with the FOSS Linux software, environments, and tools that I use on a regular basis. I wouldn't say that about the whole of FOSS Linux in general, since that would cover way too many topics for me to keep track of. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate for me as well. I don't know it all, just the stuff I'm interested in. That's actually why I like to do these news flights too, because it's articles either I read or other people posted that I've read or have planned on reading, I guess. So yeah, that makes it, that's fun. And
I have to say that, sorry, mate.
No, go ahead. No, speak.
I was going to say, I have to say that I don't find Linux news as exciting as it used to be, because I think if you go back maybe, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years, there was a lot of things happening in Linux, a lot of changes, new desktops were coming out, and, you had the GNOME changes and all that. So you had Unity and all these sorts of things. I think back then things were exciting and there was a lot of news. I don't think there's as much of that type of news as what there used to be. So it all seems to be like applications and what do you call these new desktops that are coming out? The what do they call them? The immutable desktops. They're all the big news now, but but nothing seems to be, I don't know, for me, worth really going into at this point, because it's all new.
I see where you're coming from on that. So I would say, like, if I'm thinking back, like, what were the most exciting news topics over the course of history on this? Like course of history. Yeah. Over the last few years that since I've been using Linux, I would say what was exciting to me and something I was really looking forward to back in 2012, I was excited about this thing called Wayland that was going to be available next year. I may have had to wait another couple decades, but another decade. But anyway, so that was really exciting because I was using DisplayLink at that time, and it was just kind of ropey to get it to work. And then I would say another bit of news I thought was really exciting was probably like when I first started like discover these different tools and such, like SyncThing. SyncThing was a game changer for me. That was a huge, when I first learned of it, that was really exciting. Also, like the talk about Unity. I think also like when the whole like Raspberry Pi thing kind of became, it was like on the scenes, other single board computing. I think that was really exciting.
Yep.
I think
Linux on the phone.
Yep, Linux on the phone, which I don't know. I
Linux
don't know what that is. I don't feel well informed on that topic, Colin, and stuff like that. I think that was really exciting. Those were really exciting times. Or like when Dell was just really getting started. Well, I should say really getting momentum in having Linux laptops. That was a really exciting time, I think. The introduction of Proton that was, so much buzz around Linux and gaming. That was really fun as well. And then, and I kind of feel like around, a few years back when things kind of got really weird and we all got locked up in our homes and stuff like that, I feel like that's when things just kind of started to, like, I don't know, maybe fall apart a little bit for me as far as excitement in Linux. Because, I think that's I would say more or less how I feel.
Leo reckons I'm not digging deep enough. What do you say? I'm not digging far enough. Wayland is changing everything. Well, I'm running Wayland for a while now, and I don't really have any issues. I did have issues probably a year ago, but nowhere near as much. I haven't come up with any issues, to be honest. Adam says there's a lot of exciting news. It's just not desktop stuff. So yes, there is gaming news, but because I'm not a gamer, I tend to not sort of look into that stuff. But yeah, I've noticed that Proton's up in its game, I think it was, and things like that. So, there's for gamers, it seems to be forever changing landscape in that area, and things are. What was the other one? There was also Wine, I think, had an update too,
Yep.
major update too, didn't it? So, I mean, in the gaming world, it's huge. I have to think, but I don't know a lot about it, so I can't really speak on that, and I don't really go into that too much. I was
Right.
quite a long time ago, but I don't really mess around with gaming at all. I challenged myself many years ago to install WoW on Linux Mint and managed to be successful, but and that was running Wine and stuff. So that was a huge challenge back probably 8 years ago or something, but now I don't really go into that much. So
And
Yep.
Steve also says, I'm stoked about WebRTC in open source, especially regarding the implementation of OBS. So that's probably, I can see the excitement on that as well. So, yeah.
Oh, Adam said NeoVim's, look at the NeoVim community. Yeah, me look at NeoVim. I don't think so. It's not happening.
Also-
Isn't that the text editor?
Yeah.
It's text editor, isn't it?
It's Vim,
Yeah.
but new, as in Neo. So I want to point out another thing that Adam says when he says where he gets his news. Says I like to watch the most controversial videos that serve only to make me feel anger and guilt. After that, I like to read posts that contain dubious facts but are written with authority. That's Adam. Don't ever change. Yeah, I think the I think when it comes to, like, as I think Steve's saying, the WebRTC, Pipewire, Wayland, this whole new, like, way of doing multimedia in Linux, I think that's pretty exciting. I do have like a little bit of trepidation because, like, there are some old Unixy things that will never use anything but X. Will I still be able to remote into those? Leo would probably know. Adam will probably know. And I'm told yes and not to worry about it, but I still have this, like, little bit of, like, trepidation. Will I lose connectivity to some vintage things? And some people say, oh, just get rid of the old vintage stuff, but that's not how I function. I like to keep old stuff running for a long period of time. I want to be that old, kind of like that old guy that keeps an old steam engine running for no good reason other than to keep a steam engine running. And, I would say, so Adam also brings up ChatGPT, or Leo brings up ChatGPT, whatever. I don't really get excited about the AI stuff. Should I be excited? Why don't I get excited about that?
Me either, to be honest, but it's becoming really big news. I've been watching Markulu Linux. He's forever adding all this AI stuff within his Markulu distro. But I don't know. I don't know where to start with AI, to be honest, unless there's something on the distro to use it. The only thing I found exciting with AI was, like, possibly generating pictures and things like that. Like, you can type in that was good.
Fun. Yeah.
I mean, that was fun, and that could be help with generating thumbnails for videos and things like that, instead of trying to create something in GIMP all the time. You know what I mean? So that in itself is good, but unless you've got something on your computer that can generate that, it's hard to do.
Right.
AI is not something I ever even looked at myself either. Other than what comes on like the Siri and all that crap. But as far as like GPT or whatever the heck it is, when that first came out, everybody was all the rage and everybody was tinkering with it. I didn't look at it once. I was like, yeah, whatever. Skynet.
Yeah,
Skynet.
I think it's too much sci-fi, which is why I'm a little apprehensive about the implementation of AI. It's like, is it going to be Star Trek or is it going to be, HAL from 2001: A Space Odyssey or Skynet?
Or you'd be like, your mother, and from Aliens.
Yeah. Well, it's like, honestly, if I could integrate with Home Assistant some sort of AI that sounds like Majel Barrett from Star Trek: The Next Generation, the voice of the Enterprise computer, that would be great, and be helpful.
Chief O'Brien would be cool too.
Well, like a real Chief O'Brien would be great, yeah. But he'd bang his head on things when like trying to get out from under it. So that may be bad, because we don't have a sick bay here. But like I think it's more likely going to be like HAL, where, open the pod bay doors. I'm sorry, Dave, I cannot do that. Stuff like that. I'd just be worried about, I don't know, like it not being a help, but thinking it's a help or whatever. Or
yeah, let's not have the war games though. Would you like to play a game? No.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think I'm not afraid of it necessarily. I'm just concerned about how the tool can be misused. That's more or less my concern.
Yeah, like the deep fake thing is. I've seen many like episodes of TV shows. So it's not reality; it's TV shows. But it could be reality where people are deep faking other people to access their stuff. Because they're able to make such a lifelike like video of things and able to take over their life and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that right now. We got enough things that criminals can get into with all this scamming and stuff as it is. We don't need deep faking. We don't need AI to make it easier.
Didn't they do that with Taylor Swift just recently? Didn't somebody do something?
Yes.
Yeah, that was awful. a little dirty.
Yeah, it's a very awful, I would say, violation of, it's a complete violation of
purity.
Yeah. Just absolutely. It's like,
and was that AI? That was AI that did
AI generated.
It was a AI generated image. They basically typed in Taylor Swift, triple X or whatever, for example, and then
okay. So these are the things. You look. You're never going to stop people from doing these things, right? I mean,
nope.
By nature, people. There are bad people in the world. There's not much you can do about it.
There's people that don't care enough about other people that it's just ignorance and selfishness and
it comes down to like if you have a sick culture,
it's your conscience.
If you have a sick culture, it can obviously be used for bad things.
Yeah.
Well, that and if you don't have a conscience and it doesn't make you feel bad, posting that kind of crap. I couldn't do it. I mean, I don't know who Taylor Swift.
But how do you control that though? How do you control that? Is that the same as trying to control guns and knives in the real world or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way of stopping people from posting on the internet. There's too many. There's no checks and balances. I mean, like look at Facebook and Instagram and excuse me. Oh, those type of places. You're technically not supposed to put nudity on there, but it happens. There's tons of accounts based off of pornography. That they because everything even on those sites are not actually people controlled. They are they have automated systems in place where it checks that stuff, and a lot of stuff gets missed based off of what's written, what images are actually on the thumbnail, and whatever else. And it's horrible.
So Sean says we don't actually have artificial intelligence. We have software using machine learning algorithms and models to respond to a particular input for an expected type of output, like text, images, etc.
Yeah.
I think he's correct on that.
It's not smart enough to be intelligence yet.
Right.
Well, Zuckerberg is now making a whole heap of. He's making a massive new infrastructure, isn't he? With he bought. What was it? 10,000 of the most expensive GPUs or something like that. Was that Mark Zuckerberg?
I don't know. Maybe. I didn't.
I had no knowledge about that. No.
Yeah, I don't either.
I read that somewhere, and he's making this massive infrastructure where it can deal with all this AI stuff. or whatever. So,
Wouldn't
and it's,
surprise me. The guy has more money than
Uh,
he knows. Anybody knows what to do with.
and I believe Elon Musk is doing something as well to maybe outdo him. You know, my car's bigger than yours or faster
Sure.
than yours.
Oh gosh, my wallet is bigger than yours. More like it.
Yeah,
Between those two idiots, and they're both idiots. So I mean,
well, I think we're all
Yeah.
idiots to some degree. So
well, yeah. But
I think the one thing I do appreciate is that, or I think, yeah, that's probably a cultural discussion that it's probably a little outside the scope of this show. But little things like I think there's something to be said for cleaning up these platforms. I know Twitter's been, or X, whatever, they cleaned up a lot of that. Still not enough, but it was really bad. Like before Musk bought it, as far as like the adult content on there was really bad. So he cleaned up a lot of that, or whatever.
Mm.
So that's good, I think, because I think that you should be able to. Kids shouldn't have access to explicit content, and so I think the fact that you can't do that on Twitter, I think you can't do that on Twitter anymore until you're, or something like that, or not. It's somehow blocked, or should be anyway, and so it's not good enough yet. There's still more work to be done, but at least there's been a lot of work on that, because Twitter used to be really bad, but not so much anymore.
Well, it's not Twitter anymore. That's why, right?
Whatever, Twix, because Twix is delicious, so that's what I'm gonna
Ooh,
call it.
Left Twix or right Twix?
I'll take them both.
I'd like to see maybe if we can get hold of Aris in some way to do a straw poll on what people think of immutable desktops, because
That's a
they
great
seem
idea.
to be going berserk lately, and everybody seems to be on the immutable train. But how good are they? I mean, how good do they work? You know, can you do your normal things? I haven't really gone too deep into it, but I mean, it's can you do everyday tasks that you normally do in an immutable desktop? I don't know, because I mean, even
Desktop.
even when you're running a desktop with say flat packs or snaps or whatever, I know with flat packs they don't have your usual what can you say, interaction with the system files, right? So you probably can use Flat Seal to get past that, I think. But I read something about somebody putting KeyPass and things like that back into normal repos because the flat packs just don't cut it. You know what I mean? Because they just don't integrate with the system well. I don't understand it fully, but I mean, I just read something about it. So, I mean, those sorts of things, can they work within an immutable desktop? I don't know. Because I think it relies on flat packs or some kind of, I think flat packs, doesn't it? Steve's saying you can, it's no different. Okay.
So there is,
All right.
Flatpak has a thing called portals, and a lot of software is now using that anyway. Like portals are basically the future of desktops, so how software interacts, one piece of software interacts with another piece of software. So
Right.
new software should use these portals to basically restrict their access to things, and
It's
so
like read only.
yeah, or just like it has access to these specific functions, but if it doesn't require network, it's not going to access the network. If it doesn't require your sound card, it's not going to have access to it. It's going to be limited by that. And so if you like, Flat Seal is a thing with flat packs where you can adjust those specific permissions of those portals, so what they can actually access or not access, and then that'll give you a better list. I wonder if I have it installed here. I can actually.
So what distros are the mutable desktops? I mean, I'm not even familiar.
Well,
with
actually, SteamOS is an immutable desktop. That is one.
NixOS. What was that? There was another one. There's the can't remember the name of it now. There's another two main ones. I can't
there's
remember
not
the
a
name of
whole
them.
bunch of them out there right now. Is what basically.
There's a few.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah.
All right, so here,
When you said that was a new concept to me. I was like, what? Oh.
yeah. So here's like I'm looking at my Ardour, which I haven't really even used. Flatpak, and And so, like for share, they have network and inter-process communications. I don't know what inter-process communications are. Maybe to talk to other applications, perhaps. And as far as like sockets, you can have X11 windowing system, Wayland windowing system, fallback to X, Pulse audio sound server, dbus session, dbus system, secure shell agent, smart cards, printing system. So these are how it accesses these different things through these portals and devices. So input devices, GPU acceleration, and so forth. So these are different in a file system as well. You can actually limit what it can access in the file system. And system libraries, you can limit what libraries it is able to access, and so things like that. So I think it's going to take some time before applications fully adopt the portal system for communicating between different
So
things.
basically, from what I'm reading in chat, there's a lot of things that are based on the silver blue that are
Fedora.
immutable. Like Fedora, you've got it looks like Steam, Steam OS, Vanilla OS, Nix. Like
Vanilla OS.
There's Micro OS.
Vanilla OS is the one, and Blend OS is another one.
OpenSUSE has like a selection of them as well.
And it looks like Steve is making his own called Leo Blue, based off of Leo.
A sad Leo Blue.
He's gonna make his blue balls.
And Leo's like, don't threaten me with a good time. Hey, Adam.
How's it going?
2 thumbs
I'm
up.
assuming you can hear me.
Yep, I can hear you perfectly.
Yep. Yeah, we can. Yep.
And we can see your
Sound good
your picture.
Yep.
Did we say Vanilla OS already?
That was in the
Yeah,
chat.
I
yes.
said Vanilla. Yep.
Okay.
Looks like Bolt Matrix.
Yep.
Mentioned it in chat.
Bolt Matrix is actually a YouTube giant. I don't know if you're aware of that.
And he just said hi to you too, Nate.
I know. He's a YouTube giant. If you look him up, pretty awesome. Anyway, then yeah. So I also like MicroOS on the OpenSUSE world. Then there's a GNOME
that's right.
version, and then there's also a KDE version of it. I don't remember what they're called, but they got new names like Aeon, OpenSUSE Aeon, or something like that.
Right.
And so anyway.
What? Oh boy.
But yeah, I think
Oh boy.
I think it's one of those things we're gonna have to probably walk into slowly, at least from my perspective. But I don't know. But Adam, you are you like exclusively? Aren't you like a immutable OS man for everything?
Look, if I can even write to my home directory, it's too mutable. Okay, just straight up. No,
Okay.
I'm just messing. Yeah, I mean, so the immutable thing is really neat, and I think it's a good way to deliver a system for the vast majority of people. I think if you're the type of person who knows that they can't use an immutable, you're not the target audience for an immutable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like if you know enough to know you need a mutable distro, then the others are just not even an option for you, in my opinion.
So I've used SteamOS. Like I tried to use SteamOS for like how I'd want to use it, and I actually had to turn off the immutability to make some changes because it just was not working the way I wanted it to. And so there are two schools of thought. One, I need to learn to do it the right way, or two, it just won't work for me.
Actually, yeah. So both of those are valid responses.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Yeah.
There is a big when I saw a lot of the silver blue stuff was blowing up and all this kind of move. A lot of people who tried it didn't like it, but they didn't like it because, like you said, they were doing it the wrong way. And telling somebody they're doing it the wrong way is obviously the really harsh way of saying it, right? Because like you're not really going to win people over by telling you're like, hey, you're an idiot, you've been doing it wrong. But like that being said, it's a totally different mindset, right? And another like there are various things like people can understand virtual machines fairly easily, but understanding containers maybe not so much, right? Because it's a different mindset. Same thing I hear. It's like you can understand using a desktop Linux, standard distro because
Right.
it's not far off from using any other desktop in terms of usability and stuff. But then you go into the immutable and you're like, wait, this thing I used to do doesn't work now. And instead of thinking, oh, I need to learn the new way, They're just like, why would I learn the new way? The old way worked fine because everybody's a crotchety old man in the end.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah, I'd be doing it the wrong way, I would say.
Right. But at the same time, you can't begrudge people because it's like, well, this is the way I know. And it's like they either have to accept that they have to learn the new way to use this thing or don't use that thing.
So
that's what I need to do.
For my case, the correct answer would have been I should take that software, build it as a flat pack, and then I could have utilized it in the immutable software, in the immutable operating system, I should say.
Or DistroBox, or the Nix package manager, or other homebrew.
Yeah.
Even homebrew is an option. Like there are
Homebrew.
other ways to get around it that aren't the way you've always done it, but may actually be a better way of doing it than the way you've always done it. And that's the other part is if you jump into something like immutables and it makes you have to approach things in a different way, then even when you're on a mutable distro, another system, you might still think, wow, that was a really useful way of doing it there.
Mm-hmm.
This is still useful here, even if I can do it the old way. Like maybe I should run these things in a distro box instead of the just flat on my system because I can isolate it separately or I can have different versions or whatever the case may be, right? So even just having that mindset change can help you appreciate better ways of doing things on the system you were normally used to.
And so that's actually the why I think immutable or some flavor of immutable is probably definitely the future, because I think that it's a heavier way of doing things, but I think it's a more robust way of doing things ultimately.
Yeah.
I think it's an Android way of using on the desktop, isn't it? A little bit. Would that be a reasonable way of explaining it with a decent file system?
Right. I hesitate to compare it to mobile because mobile has a lot of other like things that link their apps and data and stuff together that don't exist in the desktop world.
True.
Right.
Desktop apps generally don't generally work together, right? You know, an exception would be like Adobe's products have like round tripping built in so that if I change something in Photoshop, it automatically reflects in Premiere, that kind of thing. But generally speaking, like desktop apps don't really have that kind of functionality, and mobile apps, you know, typically have some kind of sharing functionality or some kind of interconnectedness. A sort, you know, like we copy files back and forth through directories and stuff like that, right? We don't share them to an app, if you get what I mean. So like I wouldn't say that like even structurally it's the same as Android or any kind of mobile OS. It's just a different way of delivering the desktop OS as it is.
I think my problem personally was like I know how to like to Adam's point. I knew very well how to get this done very quickly in the non-immutable sense, and so I didn't want to have to take the time and do what I felt like was a shaving the yak kind of an exercise of like set this up so I can do this, so I can do this. But had I done that, that'd have been a more robust way of then doing other things in the future. So that's
right. And you could have applied that more robust way to your existing system rather than just the Steam Deck in this case.
Right. But because
it's kind of why I harp on people who like actually, Colin, you were just mentioning about like not wanting to bother learning NeoVim, right? I can't begrudge you for putting that amount of time, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, learning a tool that seems like it'd be a waste of time, seems like it'd just be spinning your wheels. Like, what am I going to do with this? I don't know this or that. You'd be amazed at how many other skills and other viewpoints you start to see in learning this new thing that when you go back to apply it to your old thing, you're like, huh, right? So if you learned like as NeoVim as an example, if you learned Vim motions and like how to get around in Vim and like how quick it can be, then when you go back and like try to use, I don't know, Get It or Kate or something like that. Kate's pretty good, but like, you know, you use like a simpler editor, you're just like, man, I really miss how quickly I could get around in this thing, right? And it's not necessarily like you may not even program or whatever, right? It's not even about that. It's just that you start to see different ways that might actually be better ways that you otherwise wouldn't have been exposed to if you hadn't learned this tool that seems ostensibly useless to you.
Right. I do a lot of bash scripting. So, and I have used Kate, and that's a little bit different to your normal text editor. So it's quite interesting.
Right. So it's less about the specific example I gave and more about the overall idea of trying
the idea,
new things and learning new things will actually help you
Yes.
appreciate the things you already have.
Right.
Whether the old thing is that much better and you're like, wow, this new thing really ain't that great, or
Right.
the new way gave you new ideas on how to improve your old way. Like I run mutable distros all the time, right? I'm sitting here on like a non-mutable, like a normal Fedora workstation, right? But
Yep.
a lot of the things that I took from Silverblue that I use the toolboxes, I use Flatpaks, I use, a lot of the same mentality that I would have on Silverblue on my workstation. And that means my system is more robust, less likely to break, less likely to have issues, but I still have that little back end stuff that I'm just kind of that used to from 20 something years of Linux that I can rely on, right? It's just, it helps you to kind of see things differently.
I get that.
I think for me, what I feel kind of works smoothest with me is the snapshotting system with ButterFS that OpenSUSE uses, because when I do mess with something and I do break it, which does happen from time to time, I have that option to roll back like it never even happened, which that's clearly not an immutable setup necessarily, but there is like an immutable core every time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That feature, yeah.
So it's not perfectly immutable, but it has some immutability characteristics. And also I find that I'm using more of the Flatpak ecosystem for a lot of applications because of that reason, if that makes any sense. So it's like
right. So you don't want to be you don't want your snapshot to be full of a bunch of wacky stuff.
Right.
It's just easier if your snapshot is simpler, right?
Right.
But there's more to immutables than just rollbacks, I guess. But that is a feature that you can get outside of an immutable, right?
That's my favorite feature of immutable. That AB go back and forth. That to me is like one of my favorite features of it.
It's also about like the transactional update and that the updates like are done proper. Like so, Fedora, I know like people often make fun of them probably for this, but like when you go into GNOME software and you do your updates and it's like, hey, restart and update, and you're like, lol, what is this, Windows? But like that's because that's the right way to do it. Because if you update a bunch of stuff and you're like still running it, you could open another application and it will behave all wonky because you have like some libraries in memory and some that aren't and all that. So like, yeah, reboot after updates. I mean, come on, guys, just reboot your machine. Uptime's not that important. But the immutable way of doing it is when you have that transactional update to the newest sort of image, right? You're ostensibly doing the same thing. Like you're doing the updates and rebooting, but you have that like past update to get through. And when you're doing the updates in the transactional update, it's running the update thing in the transactional update. So if anything went wrong, like say your repo didn't download properly or a package got messed up or any reason the update would not apply properly, it's not applied to your system. It's not destructive on your system because that transaction just fails and you just never get that broken update. And like, so it's less about like having to roll back because things messed up. It's also about never having to go into the messed up system to begin with.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's like, if my update breaks, I roll back. So I'm more reactionary, while an immutable distribution is more proactive. So if it does break, you don't go to it.
So the breakage I'm talking about is a breakage in the process of updating and like the update itself, not like a bug experienced in a new version of software, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it could be either.
But you do still have that rollback. You still, correct. You still have the rollback. But another thing that I enjoyed specifically about Silverblue and the way they do things is their stuff's based on OCI images now. But even when it wasn't, like I could switch from a GNOME system to a KDE system to a Sway system, whatever the image was, and all I had to do was just rebase and reboot, and I was in like there was no like weirdness. There was no like, oh, I got like 2 desktops installed and like I uninstalled KDE, but it like took some of my GTK stuff with it, and like you don't have that weirdness, right? So you can literally like try new desktops or new environments and all this just in a new image, and your home folder and all that's still separate.
Mhm.
It's like your distro hopping in place.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Okay, no.
I like the sound of that.
And so like that's, just another one of those things that I guess people may not think about simply because like that's a new way of thinking. It's like it's something you're not normally, you're just thinking, hey, I'll just write this USB stick, slap it in, wipe everything, start new, right?
Mhm.
Maybe copy, maybe symlink my home folder or something from another drive, whatever, right? But what if you didn't have to do that? Or what if you could switch desktops easily in these immutable images, but then you could also have DistroBox for other things that also exist outside, and your flatpaks exist in your home folder, so they still transfer over. It's like it's distro hopping, but like better because your stuff just is already there. Your like your home folder cache is there. You're still logged into everything. You're still like
Right. It actually allows you to better
Yeah, that's-
experience the different bases, I guess.
right, yeah.
I
Who
think
like,
does
I-
that for
I'm done
Silverblue?
with
Is
GNOME.
that
I'll just hop-
Silverblue?
Yeah, Silverblue, they do like their images or their RPM OS tree stuff is based on OCI containers, so it's like a standardized container thing. And that's how folks like George Castro, and I've done it as well, where you build the image like in a CI system like GitHub or GitLab or something, and then you pull the image when you rebase. So you can actually have like your own custom Silverblue image with
Right.
your own desktops and your own settings and all this other stuff, apps installed, whatever. And then you just pull the image, you rebase off your image from GitHub or whatever you made, and then you have your own custom environment. And anyone else can get that environment if they wanted, but also
Right.
since it's built in the cloud, if anything goes wrong, it fails up there and not on your machine. Like there's it's just a totally different way of thinking about things that might be good for most people, I feel like. But if there's like a specific thing that's not going to work on immutable, then it's just not an option, I guess. But at the same time, maybe you don't know there isn't a way to do it. Like maybe there is like a way you can get it done and you're just not aware.
I'm kind of in the camp that I think immutable would technically work for everyone. It's just how you go about making that happen. So I do like run some kernel modules, which I know that you've done. Actually, you have a custom image that you add the specific bits of software in at the cloud level when you pull your thing down, which actually sounds like a lot of work to me. But once you automate it, I suppose it's kind of a non-issue.
You know what? It's not a lot of work for you. Maybe tossing
Having-
a couple bucks at someone who knows how to do it, and they
Having
can do it for you.
having Adam do it. So toss a couple bucks to Adam.
Yeah,
and
just
have
commission
him-
someone to do it. Like that, it's a community thing. It's open source, right? Like just pay somebody $5, $10, whatever they're charging. They put together a quick little, system for you, and you're good. It's no different than commissioning like, some furry art. Just, probably a lot cheaper. But
Sure. But I'm kind of the, I don't pay someone to do the plumbing in my house because I can do it myself. I have that encumberment personally.
right.
It's-
So then you gotta wonder, is it worth putting all the effort into learning how to do it? Or do you just pay the $5?
It's a good point.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd say test it out for yourself. If you can't do it, then pay the $5.
But then
And then the person who's building the software probably already has their own automations, and all they're doing is just doing a find and replace with your stuff.
pretty much.
Then walking away with an easy $5. Yeah.
Immutables would work for everyone, but nobody likes change.
Yeah, that's a big one, Jason. That is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite often that change can be better, but change can be scary.
Change can be scary. Yep.
Then
Tell
there are
you when
people
I
like
first-
me who are just jumping in and don't think about it. So
Yeah. When I first got into Linux, it was a little, I was a little on the on the nervous side, scared side, so to speak. I was like, I don't know all this this command line stuff.
I guess I've never been afraid of that. My dad uploaded a bunch of home movies to a Plex server, and I got like a new computer for Christmas in one of the videos, and like we hadn't even turned like we had literally just turned it on. Windows XP hadn't even like finished booting, and I was like, I'm gonna put Linux on this, and my mom scolded me. But yeah,
So your mother was a little bit worried about it, not you.
oh yeah, no, I was like, whatevs, man, we're doing this. It's gonna be awesome.
Well,
But
so that's what I felt like back in the old days, like when I first tested out, like was it Mandrake? Is that what the old school
Yep.
Linux was?
Whoa,
That's
not.
I
let's
was
not
way back
disparage it too
then, the
much.
Red Hat and all that stuff. That's when I first tested out Linux, when it was, didn't have half as much as documentation as it does now.
are you kidding me? That Mandrake manual can kill a man.
Well,
It's true,
right,
but
but
nice
I'm
and
talking
thick.
about actual people that dealt with it.
I-
But
I-
it was fun. It was fun to play back then too. And then of course, when I met, when I started getting into it, I joined this group, and it kind of eased the pain a little bit.
Yeah.
When you had other people to poke and prod with questions.
We're the hemorrhoid cream of Linux.
Ew, but yes.
So Adam is saying we're disgusting but necessary at times.
Righto.
You guys are, yeah, we're a necessary evil, or necessary calming effect.
Yeah. So I actually read that the first box set of Mandrake I got. I read that thing from cover to cover, and I thought it was so interesting. But yeah, I think it's one of those things. Like I guess it's one of those. I put what is the highest and best use of my time? What is it that I want to get to, and how
Yep.
can I make it the least painful way possible, generally speaking. So I kind of like my in between land that I live, I guess, is what I'm saying right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always an
Yeah.
opportunity cost,
Mhm.
right?
Yep. And so it's like for now, I'm happy here, but I don't see it staying there, I guess. If that makes any sense. Like I'm not, as things change, I'll
See,
yeah. It's
that's
fine.
why when you mentioned about like if you can fix the plumbing in your house, you'll just do it versus paying someone. My viewpoint is I can find ways to make more money. I can't make more time.
Yeah, I'll be like, okay, I need a professional. I want it done right, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can look at my bank account and know how much money I have. I can't look at anything and know how much time I have left. So,
Well, I've done lots of manual labor, so it's one of those things. It's like
well,
you know.
again, you're missing the point.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Like I think to myself, I could relax, or I can, I live by that old German proverb, "Why have fun when you can work?" And that's actually ends
That's
up being
true.
what
Yeah. That is,
See, I
yeah.
live by the proverb, I pay somebody else to work, so it's done right.
Oh, see, that's actually my problem. I watch other people do, like I've hired people to do work, and they don't do it how I like, and so it's that
Right.
So that's why I
yeah.
don't watch. I just let them do it.
right. That's another technique, of course.
Steve
Yeah.
joined, so I'm gonna head out.
Hey,
Oh.
Steve.
But look, Steve has a new jacket on. Look at that. It's a very nice jacket. It's got lines there. It's black and white, and looks
I guess-
Actually, it's not.
looks very
You
sporty.
kinda
guys know
grayish.
I have a Steve shirt.
I want a shirt with
Nessa
like
got,
I want a
Nessa
shirt
got
with his
me-
face.
yeah, I have one. Yeah, Nessa got
do?
me for Christmas a bright yellow shirt with like the worst picture of Steve
Burn.
that you've ever seen. It's a really terrible picture of Steve. And then on the back is that my favorite AI phrase, "How is to be good for the image and see themselves well." And so like it's the most like confusing shirt. Like if you were to just see somebody walking down the street with that, you'd just be like, I don't even know what I just looked at,
Yep.
I would like
Like
something
there's like
that.
some old dude who looks kind of high and kind of sleepy, and then on the other side there's like nonsense. It's
What's
like
his
he must have
name,
got that from
Vince?
Japan or something, right? Like
You said sleepy, so that must be Vince.
no, it's Steve. It's Steve.
I would say
It is. It's the worst picture. I
It
won't
is
tell you
pretty
what my
awful.
wife said when I showed it to her.
Like
Ah,
I would-
I ain't no fake fan.
I think it'd be cool to have something like Steve's face, and above it says, "All your Steve's very own belong to us."
All your Steves are belong to us.
Yes.
That'd be awesome. Make it happen. Make it so. Number one.
I have a funny meme on that I'll share with you at some point in time. Well, right. I guess we should probably go ahead and get onto the news flight, since that's the whole point of the night here is to talk about news.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No. I like the organic
I love it.
meandering of conversation. I think that's good and it's fun.
And the Adam meanders.
That I do.
Good thing Vince is in here, I tell you. Be train wreck.
So this first story is kind of some follow-on of some things that happened last year, and I have to sneeze. So hang on. Okay, maybe not.
God bless you.
See, now you ruined it. Thank you. This is a Budgie Desktop 2024 roadmap. It has been unveiled. So we had talked there's the kind of a change that happened with Budgie, and we've talked about it on our 2023 wrap up about news. So this is pretty exciting, I think. So celebrating some 2023 successes, the Budgie Desktop sets ambitious goals. For 2024, focusing on the Wayland transition and Budgie 11. So, as the new year unfolds, the Budgie Desktop team has outlined these plans, and so the Wayland transition enhancements. The primary focus for 2024 is to release the Budgie 10 release Budgie 10 on Wayland, aiming to make it suitable for daily use. The team has scheduled the release of Budgie 10.9 early this year, including the initial integration of libxfce for windowing and the new requirements for using Budgie Session to launch the desktop. This version will feature ported applets and tab switcher, aiding distribution packagers and timely integration. Key developments for Budgie 10 throughout the year will include, for Q1 goals, finalizing the daemon and XDG Flatpak portal definitions, which that links perfectly with what we were talking about earlier, so thank you, Adam. Getting the Budgie Desktop running on Wayland or X-Wayland sessions, and initiating deferred daemon development. Q2 objectives are completing Wayland's work in Budgie Control Center and Budgie Desktop for Magpie v1 compatibility, and starting portal work. Q3 and Q4 focus on releasing a Wayland-only Budgie 10 series with continuous evaluation for community-wide daily use. Once deemed ready, Budgie 10 will enter maintenance mode, concentrating solely on Wayland support and bug fixes. And Budgie 11 is laying the foundation. The secondary epic for the year is the development of Budgie 11, emphasizing the daemon, panel, applet functionality, and the new Budgie Control Center. The team plans to spread the work throughout the year, focusing significantly on Magpie, which is a soft fork of GNOME's Mutter, and the daemon before Budgie 10 transitions to maintenance mode. Efforts will also include porting work on various components with gradual shifts toward UX development in the latter part of the year. So 2024 promises to be a transformative year for the Budgie Desktop. We're excited to see how the fantastic desktop environment evolves in the upcoming months. Rest assured, we'll keep you informed about the essential updates related to it. It was by Bobby Borisov. So, does this entice anybody to try? No, it is daemon, Leo. If you look at the origins of that term, so daemons. I can't remember what it's like an ancient culture, but they talk about these different voices that talk inside you. They're called daemons, and they're spelled Daemon. So that's actually where it comes from. Is the idea that you have these different voices, different things doing different things. So
you're saying you're hearing voices. Gotcha.
There will never be a time where I say demon instead of daemon.
Daemon. Well, daemon is I can't remember. It's an old. I remember the culture. It's an old. It's from an ancient culture that it comes from. So, anyway.
This is English. Rules don't matter.
Well, rules have exceptions to them all the time because nothing's clear in English. So, back to Budgie and Wayland. I think this is very exciting because this further promotes the idea of eventually, I think the desktops. So Balt Matrix says ancient Greek. I was going to say Greek or Roman, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, all right.
Greek.
And okay, Run with the Dolphin says, no matter how you say it, it is probably part of a cult.
Dolphin is around. What's up?
Yay! Glad he's here. So anyway, is this, further work on those portals? I think is great. I think that's better for developers across the board. The fact that there's another desktop environment that's putting concentration on Wayland, that makes me feel really good about the future of Budgie being for sure there, because I'm a little concerned about some of these desktop environments maybe drifting away or not having the ability to make the transition. I don't know about the soft fork from GNOME. I mean, maybe that's a good way to go. I don't know. What do you think? Anybody? Don't be shy.
I honestly could not care less about Budgie. Like, I know that sounds harsh. It's just like,
No, it's fine.
yeah. So I'll step away from this one.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, because you're probably, you like your GNOME and your Plasma, I'm guessing.
Yeah, things that work. Yeah.
But I think Budgie to me is kind of the.
I'm just being harsh. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You're not going to offend me. I don't get offended. That's not.
It's all in good fun.
I know, and that's why I like you. So someday I have to meet Adam. I'm gonna have to drive to Wisconsin one of these days.
Not
get
that
some
far.
cheese.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, you're
Yes.
in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
No.
He went from crazy Georgia to crazy Wisconsin.
That's where the company I work for is based out of.
Our city bird is a plastic pink flamingo. So
Ooh, a lawn flamingo.
that's our city bird.
All right. So Balt Matrix says, can you give folks a very quick explanation as to why the transition to Wayland has been so painful for everyone? Sure. So in a nutshell, X has been a place, a project, which actually has shrank in scope since its early years, but did everything from printing to, well, of course, the video display, but it handled all these different aspects, and so it became this kind of large and unwieldy thing. And it's very old, so it has a lot of old cruft in it, and a lot of bugs that have not been able to be resolved because other projects require these various bugs for them to work. And then there's the security element of it. It's not secure by its very nature, so it is a vulnerability, and it's also very bloated and slow. So one of the biggest problems, I would say the number one problem of X, in my opinion, is not so much the security aspects of it or that fact that it's bloated. Well, actually, the bloat is part of it, but that it's slow. So if you have very high DPI screens, you're going to have tearing up the wazoo with it. So this screen that I'm using here, although I'm using X on this particular screen, it's a 1440p resolution monitor, I have issues with tearing under certain circumstances. So that is a problem. If I use Wayland, it's much smoother. It actually has less of an issue of performance, and it's much smoother. The problem is applications are not targeting Wayland as the display system. So the pain there is that either the applications are buggy because X Wayland is trying to grab the particular X calls, or it's slow because it's trying to pull those particular X calls, or they haven't made provisions for different ways of sharing video or audio streams. So like WebRTC is a solution with Pipewire for piping, like doing screen sharing and whatnot. So much of the pain has been that transition of getting applications to adopt these new ways of sharing information. And that's been a lot of the pain there specifically. And it's a Run of the Dolphin, who's much more of an expert than I am. He says, I think the number one issue with transition to Wayland is that Wayland is a protocol, not a display server like X. So window manager, desktop environments, etc., need to be rewritten. Yeah, that's part of the problem too. And I think with the
That explains the slow rollout, at least. Yeah.
Right, and I think with the advent of Pipewire, a lot of that stuff has been taken care of. That actually do a better job than what X ever did, I would say. So the way that I can share, like, so I use Teams regularly, Microsoft Teams on Linux. So I use the Flatpak actually, Adam, because it just works better.
Righto.
And so I use that for screen sharing, like when I do my meetings, like when we go like over the support tickets and whatnot every Friday. So I always share my screen, one of my monitors specifically, and it's really nice because you can specifically designate what exactly it is you're sharing in a very clean way. So that's one thing that I think is absolutely beautiful about it. And I don't know how that was done in X exactly. I think it was some.
When you screen share, it'd be all your monitors in one.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy with X. It was actually not. It was.
Yeah.
You could specify.
Oh, share your
monitors.
screen. All of them?
Yeah, yeah, it was just.
Hey, baby.
It was.
Yeah,
Just,
there was a lot of like issues with like separating what display was what and
Yeah.
all that, and so yeah.
you could define like a region on the screen, but that was always painful too because it just wouldn't
Right.
always work and.
Never quite lined up, and yeah.
Oh, Colin's got to go. All right, Colin.
Bye,
You-
Colin.
Try and be safe there in the crazy down under.
Bye, Colin.
You'll be missed. But I don't know. Did I miss anything as far as like the pain of the transition? Specific.
I mean, Nvidia is a big one.
Oh yes, that's
Got-
right. I forgot about that one.
Nvidia is like a huge portion of the GPU market, and I don't necessarily know that it was Nvidia being obstinate about it, but it's more about
Initially
just,
they were.
yeah, because their driver was written a certain way, and like it's a priority
play
thing, I
nice.
guess. Yeah, it's like I don't really blame them for like kind of putting that on the back burner for quite a while. You know, they had trillions to make, so
Right.
so no, I get it, but yeah, Nvidia's a big one. Like just
Yep. That was the other
it
one.
works
Yep.
well now, and they're doing a lot to improve it. But man, it's one step forward, one step back a lot. Not even two steps forward. Sometimes just one step forward.
Just kind of shuffling back and forth.
Following it pretty closely, being an Nvidia user. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's like, oh hey, like this improved, but oh now this broke. Like yeah.
One step forward, two steps back.
Yeah. Or sometimes 2 steps forward, then a step back, and then or a step
Yeah,
forward,
yeah,
and a step forward, and then a trip and fall. There's always that
forward,
happen
step
too.
back, step forward.
It's
Now we're
like
gonna
Steve
cha-cha.
trying to dance, yeah.
That's more of a shuffle.
Yeah.
Batman
Nvidia
shuffle.
being jerks with Linux. That never happens. The Vault Matrix.
I can't really speak much, man. Like I can barely like walk to the door without hitting the door frame. So like, just be honest.
Listen,
I'm just as unstable as anyone.
sometimes the door frame actually moves in your way. I know it happens to me more often than not. So I
It
understand.
happens.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I like to think I just learned from McGee, like you know, where they rub against everything they walk by. You know, that's just what I'm doing. I'm just
That's
nuzzling the door as I walk by, just
Yeah.
scenting it up. You know.
And your pants, then your belt loop gets stuck on the handle.
Yeah,
So-
that's why my pants fell. Sure.
So anyway, I think that the fact that work is being done in Budgie to advance to the next level. I like the fact that Budgie is it's a very nice desktop environment, very simplified, very approachable desktop, and I think that's why it's a good desktop to be out there. Because Plasma, I love Plasma, but I can see why it might be overwhelming for some. GNOME, I can't. Well, actually, GNOME lately has been much better than it has been in the past, but historically, I've not been able to tolerate GNOME. So, I've just totally written that off as an option for me.
That is some very, very bad audio right there, bud.
Well, actually, it sounds almost like a bit rate drop off there. But anyway, so then I did read Leo said that Mint's got Wayland in the works, and the best part is that anybody that uses Mint will never even know that they made the switch, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
Hello, quick question.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes,
Oh, you're hearing me.
I can.
Quick question. What's the difference between the purge and the remove in regards to the sudo app commands?
I don't know. That might be an Adam question. I think remove is just removing. I think purging. I think just purging, like get rid of all the related packages that are no longer needed because you remove like one of the core packages. I don't know. I'm not really sure on that one.
Anybody out there in chat land know any answers?
Yeah, you're going
Purge
deeper.
gets rid of the
Remove
config
is
files.
just removing the
Oh.
is doing the uninstall because most of your packages, most of your files in that will stay in, like settings and that. So if you reinstall something and it kind of screws up again, because all that stuff stayed in.
And Leo in
Yeah,
chat says purge removes configs. Remove
Yep,
just removes
purge
software.
removes those config files.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Yeah. Just wasn't sure which one was which.
So if you're removing an application, is it better to use purge or just use both? Because being that purge removes all the excessive files from with removing the application, would it be better to just use purge?
I don't know.
I don't know. I've never actually used it before.
No. I just basically just go through and uninstall the software.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know which one,
And
like
when you
Synaptic or
uninstall the software, it removed those excessive files as well.
I am not entirely sure.
Just the config files in addition. That's the main difference between remove and purge. Remove doesn't remove the config files. Purge removes the config files.
Yeah, so I guess it probably depends on exactly what it is that you want to accomplish by doing the removal of the software. If you're removing it and you might install it again, maybe leave your config files. If you're removing it because you want nothing to do with it ever again, then purge it. That would be probably how I'd look at it.
What he said.
So it looks like here's an I don't know. Does anybody here use iPhone type products?
No. Mm-mm.
Wait,
No iPhone here. See.
Looks like it could be an iPhone.
iPhone, perhaps an iPad.
So it looks like, yeah, because you're kind of a Mac.
I don't.
Maybe a Mac.
So Apple has reduced its commission it charges for paid iOS apps while adding fees elsewhere. It may end up being worse for some developers, but the current rate is 15% for apps enrolled in Apple's small business program with less than 1 million annual revenue.
Well, it seems like a lot of companies are doing that lately with, the revenue they make off their users, whether it be developers or something like Twitch, where they've cut down on how much the actual, streamers make. It seems like companies are getting more and more greedy.
Yeah, I think some are like on life support, I feel like. So subscription-based apps start at 30% for the first year and then drop to 15% in the EU. That rate becomes 10% for most developers or 17% for transactions. This thing just jumped on me. For transactions on digital goods and services, plus a 3% fee for App Store payment processing or whatever fee is required by third-party payment processor. So 13 or 20% sounds like an improvement over what's available in the US, but not for popular apps, which must pay the new core technology fee of 50 cents per app install per user annually after 1 million app installs. So it looks like the David Heinemeier Hansen, a CTO of Basecamp, observed in a blog post, the cost to distribute an app like Instagram in a third-party app store in the EU would be something like 135 million annually. So that'd be quite the shakedown.
Yeah, and then unless you're like the EU where they can sideload things now, but
Right.
I don't. That is going to be bad for Apple. I think in the long run, it's going to cause a lot of problems.
Think so?
I think so. 'Cause you're trying to, eventually, people are not going to be able to. They're going to get so greedy that a lot of apps, even big apps, the ones that make get the million downloads or million sales or whatever it is, not going to be able to pay.
So if you have a free app that just lives on advertising, how does that even work?
Mm-hmm. Well, that depends on how. I mean, I guess if it's a free app and they download it and they base off of like ads and stuff like that, but they still get that $1 million mark. You're gonna have to give basically 50. Was it you said 50 cents? I think you said after 1 million downloads you have to pay 50 cents per
Well, 50 euro
whatever.
cents, I should say, per app install per user annually.
Yeah, so it's
after 1 million.
So in other
apps.
words, after 1 million apps, if you're free, and even though let's say you get to 2 million apps, even half that, you're looking at let's say that's another $500,000 you have to pay out. And if you're living off of advertisement revenue, you're probably paying 70-80% of your advertisement revenue right there in fees to Apple.
So do you think what do you think the fallout of this is going to be? I mean, I don't use Apple, and I don't see myself getting Apple.
I find Apple changing it. I mean, I don't know if they'll change. I mean, I download very few apps on my phone. I have a few apps here and there, but it's not like a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people that download the games. This is where it's going to get. I think that's probably going to be the industry that gets hit the most. Is probably the gaming industry, honestly, or the social media industry, like Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing. Those are going to be the biggest downloads. Let's say the Genshin Impact, I think it's called. Is a game you can get on the mobile device, whether it be iPad or phone. It's huge, and they're going to be. But they make a lot of money for in-game purchases. You buy stuff to play the game.
So
they might not get affected in that aspect because I don't think there's a tax on in-game stuff. I don't know how Apple works in that regard.
So Balt Matrix says that this is for third-party application stores on iOS only in the EU.
Oh, so this is not like overall. This is not like U.S. app stores, just in general.
Yeah.
That's probably because they put this probably the third-party thing. It's probably because of the side-loading thing.
So how would they?
It's Apple's way of sticking it to the man.
How would they? Apple is the man. So how would they go about knowing whether or not you've installed from a third-party repository? Like, how does that even?
Well, you have to get the third-party repository on your phone somehow. So I'm guessing there's some sort of tracking. Oh, actually, no, can't be. Honestly, I don't know.
That's interesting. Well, that'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out.
See, Apple is better than SysMD. This is the fact. I do not use Apple though because I like privacy. And the funny thing is, Apple is the one that, quote unquote, in their mind, is screaming, "We are private. We respect your privacy." That good stuff. I mean, because it's not a Google phone. Everybody says that. I mean, there's no such thing as privacy these days, anyway, in my opinion.
So, and also, I guess in the U.S., we can't have third-party stores, so it doesn't affect us at all. Oh, there you go.
Third-party isn't allowed on Apple at all currently. It is opening up through the side loading of apps in the EU very soon. I don't know the exact date, but there was an article on it not too long ago.
This is from the register.
Where they are going to be, because it's a thing in the EU. They want to have people be able to sideload apps, but I don't know. I don't know how they're going to track that as far as who's putting what apps on what device. Because That sounds like that's an invasion of privacy right there. If they're tracking what you're putting on the phone outside of what they allow you to have or their ecosystem.
I don't know. I think I hate mobile phones, all of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a necessary evil. Well, it's not really necessary. I mean, nowadays, yes, it's necessary. When we grew up, when we were all kids, most of us. I don't know how about you, some of you youngsters out there.
Like Jinda.
We
Good one.
we grew up, you actually have to drive to people's houses and talk to them, or you pick up a rotary phone and dial a phone number, that type of thing. There was no, when I grew up, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have internet. Yep, it was a different time, better time.
Yeah, different time for sure. Back when games came in boxed copies,
Yep.
and you pulled the
Heck, back in
floppy.
those days, games were in freaking boxes and called board games.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well,
There was no internet back then, really. It was, I wasn't until I was like almost in college that the internet became a thing. It became
you
more
might have a couple.
widespread.
You might have a couple years on me.
Just a few. I'm almost 50 here.
Couple years. I'm not that far off.
Wow, almost.
Yep, almost. Yep, Steve. Yep, you got. I know you got me. Retired man.
Steve is. Every time I hear that song, "Forever Young," I think of Steve. All right, some other news, some distribution news. So Linux Boron is here, based on Debian Bookworm. This is a Debian-based. This is a lightweight distro called Bunsen Labs. So this I think is pretty exciting. I haven't actually looked at Bunsen Labs in a while. This is from 9 to 5 Linux. So I'll put this in here real quick. So coming 2 years after Bunsen Labs Beryllium, the Bunsen Labs. So as you can see, they kind of have a theme to it. The Bunsen Labs Boron release has finally hit the stable channel today for the OpenBox-based and lightweight Debian derivative. It's a continuation of the acclaimed Crunchbang Linux distribution. If you want your Debian flavor with the lightweight OpenBox window manager, you can download the Bunsen Labs Linux Boron release right now from the official website. As live ISO images for 64-bit and 32-bit systems, Bunsen Linux Boron is perfect for old computers from 15 to 20 years ago. And that's actually what I've used it on. So if you want to keep something going on life support, Bunsen Labs is here for you. I added that part. So how usable would a 32-bit system running Linux kernel 6.1 be? Probably not for multimedia or web browsing. Probably some other functions. Non-web-based functions, I would think.
32-bit? Excuse me, 32-bit. I don't know how that functional 32-bit would actually be these days.
I mean, we could do lots of things, just not like website type things, I would think. If let's say you have a specific machine that just kind of runs, runs like a mill or something, and if you can run like an open source system, like running Linux CNC or whatever on there, seems like that'd be a good fit, I think.
Perhaps.
Yeah, Leo, that's gonna be the new marketing slogan. If you want to keep something on life support, Debian is here for you. I like that. It's nice.
Okay, we need to turn that into a commercial.
Or something.
Like the Commodore 64 commercial.
Are you keeping up with Debian? Because Debian's keeping up with you.
Yep.
I like it. Yeah. Does anybody have any old systems that they would try that on? Bunsen Labs? No?
No, I don't. My oldest system is right over here. And
That looks like a great candidate.
It's a 2009 Classic Mac Pro, but that is my Mint. That is my baby right there. That is my Mint system.
I don't know. I just don't feel like 15 years is that long ago.
Leo, that's up to you, man. Do it. Make it happen.
Let's do a commercial.
Do it, Leo.
So, if you've seen the Commodore commercial that song comes from. You see,
That's awesome.
it's pretty fun. But Leo, you can be one of those runners in the beginning, if you like. But you have to wear the same sort of outfit.
If you have not seen it, look it up on YouTube
Yep.
because it is hilarious.
That's good times.
And then, yeah, we play that a lot in the Mac group.
Which doesn't make sense to me why you'd play that in the Mac group, but
Well, it's kind of like this, lots of technology. Come on, you've been there, Nate. You know what we do.
oh, I know. All right, and this is exciting news for Steve here. This is probably the last news story we do for the night. So it looks like OBS lands AV1 VA API support. So that means you're going to have the OBS software, which is what you use for the Open Broadcaster software, which is what I use to do this show, and what Steve uses to do his show, and lots of people use. So it's popular with a lot of game streamers and other live recording, of your desktop and so forth. They've landed support for the AV1 video encoding using Linux's video acceleration API or via API interface. So this should mean less stress on your hardware because you're using your GPU to do more of the work. So it's available with the Radeon RX 7000 series graphics and Intel Arc graphics when it comes out. So, and with open source Mesa driver support as well, which I think is pretty great. I'm using something that uses the AMD for this machine, so that's because that's been available for a while now. But that's pretty exciting. Steve, does that excite you at all? Are you thrilled by that? Does that do anything? Does that move the needle for you at all?
Not so much at this point. I guess Adam could probably correct me, which he probably will. No, I think it lends to a higher video rate going to YouTube. I think Twitch already uses that. So I don't know if it will help with YouTube at all.
Actually, YouTube uses it. Twitch still has it in beta.
Which is okay.
Yeah, you can stream AV1 to YouTube already. The idea of AV1 is to give you better quality at the same bit rate, at lower bit rates.
But it's still aimed at certain GPUs, right?
That is the real caveat. So for NVIDIA, the RTX 40 series has AV1 encoding. 30 series has AV1 decoding, but not encoding. But the 40 series has encoding, and that's been around with NVENC. Like that's been a thing. But the VAPI stuff is for the Arc GPUs, the Intel Arc GPUs, and only the RDNA 3 stuff, so RX 7000 from AMD. So if you have RDNA 2 or RX 5000 or any of the older ones, like no bueno, because you're not going to get it because you don't have the hardware. Like it's actually a physical hardware block on there that does the encoding, and so it's not really like a software gating thing. It's physical hardware issue.
Yeah, so like the 1660, it's not gonna.
No. And the idea for AV1 was basically a way to have a royalty-free version of HEVC or X265, however you want to look at it. And so instead of having the patent and royalty encumbered HEVC, the AV1 is an open thing. And the folks who do have the patent on AV1 specifically hold that patent to open it, if you get what I mean. Like they want to hold the patent and want to hold the rights to it so that they can then provide it for free rather than having another company come along and say like, oh, we have the patent and now we're going to charge for it. So the AOM is the group, and they specifically hold it so they can keep it open. Which is a weird thing to think about, but that's how it is.
Well, I think it's exciting. That's an exciting bit of news, I think, in the Linux world. I feel like when it comes to anything multimedia, we're not Linux users are not exactly first class citizens, but it's all right.
But nothing exciting happens anymore. Nate, we talked about that earlier.
You're sure,
Challenging assumptions.
which is not a
Wow.
bad thing at all. I wonder when that'll
Put the
actually be
link
rolling
in.
out. What?
Yeah, I put the link for the Commodore thing in the chat, Discord, not Discord, but YouTube chat. For anyone who wants to get nostalgic.
Do it again. Wait, hold on, not yet. Just a second here.
Oh,
Like
well,
turning the two nuclear keys at the same time.
Exactly. Okay, now do it again. So you're not a moderator. Now you're a moderator.
Boom. Yeah.
There you go.
Yay.
It's actually a link now.
So for the reason I don't have the I have the Intel VA API driver on my my framework, but it can't. It only allows me to do the software encoding.
On OBS?
Mhm.
What's the Intel generation you have?
13.
11th? 13th? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should should be able to have that on there unless you don't have the
Yeah.
packages installed.
I just searched for the packages and I have all the VA API stuff installed. The Intel VA API driver. Maybe there's something missing on the OBS side.
Do you have the libVA stuff? Or I think you might actually need it's like Intel Media something. I can't remember exactly. There's like a separate package for like newer stuff.
the XF86 Video Intel?
Yeah, no, that's not it. X-Free 86. You know,
Uh-huh.
that'll get it.
Oh, there's the Intel.
I'll find an
OpenSUSE.
answer for you.
Okay.
It was on OpenSUSE, right?
Oh yeah, of course. What else did I run?
Oh, sorry. I looked up Debian. I'm sorry. I'll look to right.
Anyway. Well, so okay, there's a lot more news topics. Didn't get to them because, well, we're out of time. I'll make sure to push those over for next week or whatever. But so next week we're having an application appetizer night. And one of the things that I was looking at potentially doing that I've been interested in trying out, and I just want the excuse, a kind of a push. I actually want to try it out this week, but I didn't get to it, was to try out Waydroid. Does anybody remember what we talked about Waydroid last week?
Yeah, I tried that. It only works on operating systems with Wayland.
Oh, does it?
Yep.
I didn't know that part, but I'm using Wayland, so yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I just have to have an operating system with Wayland. And
So what Waydroid is it uses Waydroid uses Linux namespaces to run full Android systems and container and provide Android applications on any GNU/Linux-based platform, whether it's ARM, ARM64, x86, etc. The Android system inside the container has direct access to the needed hardware through XC and binder interfaces. So I have a need to run specific Android applications. Like it would be very useful for me to do it on the computer. And so this would be personally for me kind of a helpful thing to do, to have that ability. But I don't want to do something that's just benefiting me. So is anybody else here interested in figuring that out for themselves as well, or not so much?
I'm willing to try again.
All right. So yeah, this would be cool because it says there's full app integration. So Waydroid integrates with Linux, adding Android apps to your Linux application folder, which is cool. Multi-window mode, so expands on the Android freedom of window definition, adding a number of features, and a full UI mode for gaming and full screen entertainment. Waydroid can also be run to show full Android UI stuff. So for me, one of the applications that I would like to have is the application for monitoring my solar panels and everything and battery and such on my house. Can have that running. So that has some serious interest for me. So it's supposed to give you also near native performance as well. So I think this might be interesting. There's install instructions and everything else. So for supported GPUs, Waydroid uses Android's Mesa integration for pass-through, so it enables support to most ARM64 systems on chip on the mobile side, and Intel AMD GPUs for the PC side. For NVIDIA GPUs, except Tegra and VMs, we recommend using software rendering. So this looks interesting, for me anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any use case, I think, of any of my Android apps to be used on a computer.
I have nothing to do with Android, so I don't know. I don't think I'm running anything with Wayland.
Well, maybe you can run Android on your Linux Mint machine that's 15 years old, so it can be like the ultimate in Frankenstein.
Perhaps. We'll see.
So I only see Ubuntu and Debian for options.
I do have a Ubuntu machine over here. And it's called Mentis.
I'll put that Intel driver in the Zoom chat for you, Nate.
Intel Media Driver.
Yeah, give you the link to the.
Do a search right now. So I just took into OPI Intel Media Driver, and then that makes it so I can. Oh, it is in the standard repo. Oh, interesting. All right, I'll check that out in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this might be a lot of work for me to get installed, but I am going to try and figure it out because this is something I really want to need.
You want to need?
I want and need.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it runs on Silverblue, so if it runs on Silverblue, it's got to run on, or Fedora, I should say.
Got him.
Got him. All right. All right, well, cool.
Bye-bye.
And then also, of course, if you have any suggestions, send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com. I do read my emails. In fact, I just got caught up today. I got through all 1,500 emails that kind of got backlogged since like Christmas time.
Good golly, I don't think I've ever had that many. I don't let my inbox get that crazy.
I'm a bad person. I got lazy.
Hopefully you use some sort of like rules and sort them out at least.
I need to do that.
And
He had
Paul-
1,500 emails to go through. Does it sound like he uses rules?
Yeah, definitely need to do that. And Balt, that cat you just saw, that was Al. That's one of my babies. There's only 2.
Do you ever sing the "You Can Call Me Al" song to him? It's a great song. You should see.
The funny story was we named him Alice.
Oh.
At first we thought he was a girl.
Oh.
And that the 2 girls we had were boys. And then the vet was like, nope, other way around.
Did you just assume it's gender?
Absolutely, I did. That's why you let the vet tell you. So Al became Alice. Alice became Al, and then we call him Alfonso now. For his real.
That's a good name. Yeah, I had a duck I thought was a girl, but ended up being a boy, and the duck was pretty cool actually for a while. Then when it grew up and became a man duck, it's kind of a jerk now.
Yep,
What can
that's
you do?
what we call our boys. We call our boys a-holes. There's Bella, the keyboard stealer.
Yeah.
She's currently on 2 keyboards. She was on 3. She consolidated.
Yeah.
And she is out.
Cats will do that to you. Whatever you're
Especially
working
that
on,
one.
they put themselves in between you and that thing, whatever it is.
They are more important.
Bella, I have 10 cats, as you know, and only Bella is the pain in the butt when it comes to keyboards. I could have like 4 or 5 keyboards on the desk, and whatever one I'm typing on, plop.
Oh, that's a lot of keyboards there. And as always, if you have any discussion suggestions or distribution suggestions, applications, poll ideas, send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com. and I will work on those rules to make it a little bit quicker for me to get to those emails. I've had rules before, then I switched email accounts because I did them at the server side before it sent to me. I'll have to do that again.
Yep. And Anna, it's only 10 cats. I don't have 14. I have 10 cats inside. I take care of 5 ferals, so 15
If you
I
have
feed.
if you have 10, you may as well have 14. That's what I say.
Also, I want to mention that like I have seen server deployments and application deployments that have less fault tolerance than his keyboards. Like at any moment, one of those keyboards could go, and he's just right off to the next one. Like it's
That's why the expensive keyboard is elevated. This one
Hmm.
right here is the $200 keyboard.
Oh wow.
It's a G915. Solid metal keyboard.
Well, they can't hurt that one anyway.
So I still
They'll
keep it
find a way.
elevated. You're right. I'm not gonna test that theory out. Not with that cat.
It's got to work your
She's
shoulders a
huge.
little bit to have to type up there like that, an elevated keyboard.
Oh, I'm only doing that for tonight. It's not normally elevated.
Oh, okay.
It's sitting on a bin of dice that I use for Magic the Gathering.
How many sides are on those dice?
These are all 20-sided dice.
Okay.
And then the in the drawers all the 6-sided dice.
And how often do you roll a 20?
It's more used for counters than rolling.
Oh, okay.
I play a lot of token-based decks that require lots and lots of dice.
That sounds like fun. All
Yeah,
right.
I plan on doing that tomorrow. Magic the Gathering.
use
So-
toenail clippings instead.
Yum.
Oh God.
I am not putting that on my cards. Nope. That's just gross.
And on that bombshell,
Yeah. Wow.
so it's that time.
And on that nast.
It is time for last call. Steve, are you doing your stream tomorrow morning?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. Do you have a
What
topic?
a Steve.
I'll be multi-streaming again tomorrow.
Is that legal?
That mean Twitch and YouTube's? What?
Yep.
Mhm.
It is allowed now. Yep.
Really?
Yeah, it's allowed. Yeah, it is allowed
Yep.
now. They both companies have allowed it for a while now.
Yeah, although I don't know how some were doing it for a while, I thought.
Yeah, they've
Oh,
been
yeah,
doing
they
it
just
on
didn't care.
yeah, they didn't
Yes.
care. It wasn't on like restream. It was on like dual. I can't remember it's like a link you could do, where on individual people can set it up so that their audience can set it up so they can watch both streams and have separate chats and yada yada yada.
Yeah,
been
you're
around for a
still
while.
supposed to keep the chat separate, but they don't like YouTube apps showing up on the screen in Twitch.
Well, so what, you have any topics for tomorrow?
No, I just labeled it what I labeled it created by AI. No, not really. That would make it better.
You should just label it fake. You should just label it fake news.
The fake news Steve Hour, where he makes up all the news.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
You should take like some of like the big headlines going on right now in Linux and open source, which I don't know which ones those are, but then make up a bunch of fake stuff about it. Try and get some clickbait, and then at the very end just say "psych"
Yeah.
because it's like 1996 again.
I want to see Steve. I want to see Steve embody Norm Macdonald on Weekend Update.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Yeah, so I was reading the history books, and the good guys always win.
Right.
That's one of my favorites
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Good guys always-
Yeah, the good guys always won. Yeah.
Well, hello, Zoe.
Norm Macdonald.
Hey, fatty.
I miss that man.
I do too. I didn't realize he's been gone for multiple years now.
Yeah.
So sad. I don't know if anybody else has anything you want to talk about. Adam, do you have anything going on? Anything exciting?
I started a new job Tuesday.
Oh, right. That sounds
Ooh.
exciting.
Whoa.
Nice.
Yeah. Because for those of you who aren't aware, I got laid off back in November. right before the holidays, because that's awesome. But
Right.
I ended up getting a new gig starting Tuesday. It's 100% remote, which is nice. It's a lot more money, which is nice, and it'll be a very interesting. It's with a nonprofit children's hospital group, so
Sweet.
even more noble of work than what I was doing before. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm just kind of ready to
Awesome.
start, just waiting
Yeah.
at this point.
That's very exciting.
I'll be the title is infrastructure engineer, and it's as generic as it sounds, but yeah, a lot of automation, a lot of server stuff.
A lot
that
of
kind of
mutable desktops, right?
Zero, sir. Zero.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you're the engineer, maybe you can make it. You can engineer it out.
Are these gonna be Windows-based servers? Or?
Yeah, nah, I'm good. I don't want to deal with end user stuff. I'm fine with that. Their deployment I think is about 80-20, so about 80% Windows server and 20% Linux.
Nice.
It's pretty common for on-prem to be pretty Windows heavy.
Yep.
But they use like Azure for their like hybrid infrastructure and all that, so I'll be dealing with that and
Cloud.
doing a lot of Terraform. Is a big part of it as well. Moving to like a infrastructure as code kind of thing, so be fun.
Sounds above my head.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's all good.
Well, very cool.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. Everybody's like, "Oh, there's nothing exciting going on." It's like, no, you're just not aware of what's exciting. There's plenty of exciting things out there. It's just not, LibreOffice or themes.
Or
It's-
Bunsen Labs. Bunsen Labs is exciting.
Yeah, see, that's the wrong direction. Just,
No.
no, I'm just messing. Nah, it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun.
I know.
But no, like there is plenty of exciting stuff. You just like, I don't know. You just got to go out for it. The desktop stuff is mature, right? There's plenty of fun stuff out there beyond that. Just got to dig deep.
I think applications are fun.
They can be, yeah.
Integrations, Yeah. A lot of integrations
Well,
I think are fun.
Depending on the application. Yes.
Well, yeah, I got to find the fun ones.
IE7, pretty great.
You got to catch them all, huh?
Mm-hmm. The Polka dudes. That's fun.
Never done anything with Pokemon. Nope.
I was too
And
old.
they thank you for it.
I was too old for Pokemon when it came out, but it's only because of my kids that I got into it. Because, I got to know what a Squirtle is.
I was too poor.
Charizard, or what I think it's called.
Yep.
I was too poor. We didn't get a Game Boy, so.
Right. Yeah. Same.
Yeah, my nephew is into the card collecting. I don't know if he plays or not, but he loves the cards.
My kids like the cards too. I like to make like card houses with them, but the kids don't seem to appreciate that at all. I don't know if Dr. Linux or Terry, if you have anything that's going on you'd like to say. Oh, Terry's always got
I
some
want to say
streaming
it was
service.
good hearing Terry speak up.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice when it is.
Excuse me.
It's all good.
Hey, I'm here.
Yeah, but thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Charmander, Charizard, whatever.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Hey,
But Jason, I know you participate in a group every Sunday. Are you participating tomorrow with the Dave's Vintage
Apple Tech.
Tech? Yeah. I do participate.
Yep, that's where you and I kind of reconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So you joined somehow you ended up in there one day and we're just like, I know that guy.
I still don't remember how that happened.
And then I don't know, something to do with Dave, I think, inviting you.
Mm-hmm. He lost his mind.
As far as tomorrow goes, that's up in the air because I might go play Magic instead. I don't know. I haven't decided fully yet. Lazy, leave the house. Lazy, leave the house. It's one of those dilemmas.
Both sound fun.
That, I mean, it's basically like this, except for they don't use Zoom, and we get together and we discuss basically what a lot of people do on that stream. excuse me,
Nothing.
is they do a lot of, they actually work on the stream.
Unlike us,
They
where
actually, yeah, here we just, we talk and discuss topics and stuff. Well, that happens on that stream as well. But a lot of people are actually recapping boards, old Mac boards or old PC boards, recapping them to bring them back to life so they can work again, or they're making custom boards where they're taking, like I say, a not custom boards. What's the word I'm looking for? Clone boards. So they're basically taking, like, say, a Mac 2 and remaking the board, and so that it is, and then adding all the chips and all the stuff to it, so that it'll be a whole new thing. All the chips, all the capacitors, all that kind of stuff. It's way above my head, and lots of the soldering and all that kind of stuff. They do a lot of that on there. They do a lot of repairing of a lot of old tech, basically retro tech, repairing PCs and video cards, everything else.
Now, I'd say Dave is a trooper because the streams last 8 hours. So,
He starts at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and we go until I think it's 7 p.m. I want to say Eastern time.
Yep.
I think that's correct math. And then he's on and he's in Cali, so it's for him it's 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So basically he's putting in a shift on Sundays, a work shift, and we all get together.
people
on
come
average,
and
we
go.
probably get about 10 to 15 people per stream. It's just a great time. If anybody has an interest in Macs and or old retro tech stuff and wants to watch people do a bunch of soldering and stuff, that's what the other Aussie does, Bruce. He does a lot of repairing of old machines as well for a side gig. He's a web developer by day, and then at night he's a Cape Crusader of fixing old machines.
Very cool. I know. I join for like sometimes when I have a chance, and
Yep.
I was
You've been on what, maybe three, maybe four?
a few more than that. I think I was there last
that,
Sunday
Matt?
because I just got to my hotel room in Texas and I just joined.
Yep.
I had nothing to do, and I could, watch YouTube, or I could, talk to nerds. So I talk to nerds.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I join. I don't do half the crap they do. Like, I don't do any of that soldering or any of that stuff. But I join and I monitor the chat forum and I hang out and talk, and we talk tech, and
Mhm.
or we just talk. Like we're doing. Just whatever.
Right.
You gotta warn you though. There's one particular person there where that occasionally the streams might get a little spicy. Just be warned.
There's a few people.
Well, there's one person in particular that she likes to get it started. And then
Yeah, it's
it
true.
Fires up everything.
That's true. But that's fine. Well, it's good times. So, Jinda, did you have anything you want to tell us? I mean, are you making some tunes with that guitar that's hanging up there? Let's see, that's a 6-string. I see.
I try to pluck it and it sounds like a dead cat. So. Oh, sorry, Jason. Didn't mean to.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
No, I'm all good. I'm just doing what I always do. A bunch of nothing.
That's good. All right. If you have not done so, check out Linux User Space. Dan and Leo, they're often in the chat saying, giving hot takes. Like Leo says, newsflash, all Wayland developers say X is the future. Stuff like that. No, not really. But he does say very, very fun things. Linux User Space is a very informative podcast. And their latest episode is on the history of KDE and using Plasma 6. Next episode, they'll take a break from history to chat. So it's always good to send them feedback. They like feedback. I think it's one of their favorite things. Especially say nice things to Leo. He likes that. I think everyone likes that, but Leo especially likes it. So check out linuxuserspace.show, or for short, lus.sh, lus.sh. I have a website called cubanate.com. I do things, so you can check that out. I haven't written anything since for a few weeks now, but I do have stuff from this year already, so you can check that out. Linux User Space. I mean, sorry, cubiclenate.com, not Linux, but you can check out Linux User Space too. So I know, Dr. Linux, did you have anything you want to do to kick out there before we close it up?
Hey, yes. Is Cruz still awake?
I am awake. Why wouldn't I be awake?
Well, it is late.
No update, nothing to throw there.
Hey, tell us. Hey, Cruz, tell us about. He's only been using Linux since November. So, hey, tell us about your MX experience.
Everything is going smoothly with MX, but I think I want to try out Antics though again because it wasn't a smooth process. I've read that they have done some updates, so I think I might try it out again.
I think it's worth it. I like Antics. I like MX a little bit better, but Antics has its place. Well, excellent. And then Leo did say bad things about Leo too. I dare you. So if you would like to do that. I don't condone saying bad things about people to people, but if Leo's inviting it, who am I to say? Well, Linux Saloon is part of the Tux Digital Network, so check out more great shows at tuxdigital.com. I want to thank you all for your support, however you do it, being a part of the conversation, both the Zoom meeting, the YouTube stream, and for watching the show after the fact. There's a surprising number of you, so thank you. I want to thank everyone involved in making the Linux open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back into personal computers. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time. See yous.